Powerful historical photos, the Holocaust, World War II, and the tragic stories behind the lens. A view of the camp following its liberation. Two Ukrainian askaris stand by a doorway amid Jewish victims during the 1943 Warsaw Ghetto Uprising suppression. Adolf Eichmann awaited his trial in Israel in 1961. A young Anne Frank standing in a library surrounded by books before her life changed drastically. A woman lies starving on the Warsaw Ghetto pavement, 1941, amid extreme overcrowding and deprivation. Joseph Hefner, a former student, became an Auschwitz guard in 1942, overseeing genocide. In 1939, a camp leader rings the dinner bell for refugees at Dover Court Holiday Camp. Helene, a fencing champion, competed in the 1936 Olympics despite Nazi Germany's persecution. A man walks through the winter ruins of the synagogue on Wolborska Street, destroyed by Germans in 1939, 1940. A German soldier executes a woman with a child in Ivangorod, Ukraine, 1942, during Nazi genocide. In April 1945, Major Benjamin captured the moment when starving civilians realized they'd been liberated. Adolf Eichmann, convicted of war crimes, walks in his Ramla prison cell before his 1962 execution. Hitler's rise led from a Jewish boycott to the Holocaust, aiming to exterminate Europe's Jews. In July 1941, a woman flees men with clubs during the violent Lviv pogroms targeting Jews. Auschwitz staff's leisure photos, including singing and hunting, contrast with the horrors nearby, 1944. Rudolf Höss, Auschwitz's commandant, executed in 1947 after overseeing mass exterminations during the Holocaust. Amon Goeth, Plaszow camp commander, oversaw mass killings and ghetto liquidation during the Holocaust. The Last Jew of Vinica photo depicts a man's execution during the 1941 Vinica massacre. Lithuanian nationalists with German support killed over 1,000 Jews in Kovno during the 1941 pogrom. In 1931, Rachel Posner photographed the menorah with a Nazi flag, symbolizing defiance and resilience. A Jewish World War I memorial in Frankfurt, part of a collection from the Jewish Central Information Office. Helmut Grundschak, a former plumber and SS member, rose to Unterscharführer at Auschwitz. After being discovered by the American Army, the 2,500 Jewish survivors from Bergen-Belsen were found standing on the tracks. Survivors of German concentration camps who later became citizens of Israel. This photo from Austria, March 1938, shows segregation of Jews after Nazi annexation, dehumanizing them. Joseph Kramer, known as the Beast of Belsen, was sentenced to death after the Belsen trial. Jewish residents shopping at a vegetable market in the ghetto, photographed by Willie Georg. On July 1, 1939, Jews were humiliated, abused, filmed, and killed during a brutal pogrom. Henrik Ross taking photos for identification cards at the Jewish Administration Statistics Department in 1940. Guth, SS officer at Płaszów camp, was notorious for mistreating prisoners and committing brutal acts. Jewish refugee children arrived in London after Kristallnacht, with temporary documents and parental hope. An emaciated Russian girl stares at the camera during Dachau's liberation in 1945. Rabbi Akiva Posner and family left Germany for Israel in 1933 after rising Nazi tensions. Anne Frank's 1941 photo, provided by the Anne Frank House, remains astonishingly clear and preserved. Former German concentration camp prisoners who later became citizens of Israel. Eichmann, after escaping U.S. custody, was captured by Israel in 1960 and tried for war crimes. Franz Stoffel was sentenced to death after worsening conditions at overcrowded Bergen-Belsen camp. Helene Mayer, a fencer, won 6 German championships by 1930. Her 1936 Olympic participation was manipulated as a facade to show Jewish rights in Nazi Germany. The Helferinnen, wearing wool skirts and cotton blouses, listen to the accordion while eating blueberries served by Karl Hooker. Hess claimed he followed orders during trial, was sentenced to death and executed at Auschwitz. In June 1941, Lithuanian Jews were murdered with shovels, iron bars, and other brutal methods. This propaganda photograph, taken by Mendel Grossman, depicts idealized conditions in the Warsaw Ghetto. Fritz Tadekin, a former painter, became an SS leader in 1944 and was convicted of war crimes. The goal was clearly to transport the Jews prisoners to a camp for elimination before liberation. An armband seller trades on the street while 2 elderly men sell rope for food. Estimates of Jewish victims vary, with 2,000 to 5,000 arrested, killed, and civilians participating in violence. A group of women carrying sacks and pails walks by synagogue ruins on their way to deportation. Amon Goeth's dogs, who he commanded to attack Jewish before killing them. A refugee meets a Kinder transport agent in 1938, facing language barriers and trauma in Britain. In April 1943, Jews, including a boy, are escorted from the Warsaw Ghetto by German soldiers. Which historical photo in this video moved you the most and why? Drop your answer in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest posts.